let's get it.
Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Cook, one of the sponsors of the program from Microsoft. Very happy to be here with you as always. And Sharon and Wes do such a great job here. And we've got Emily on to help with the moderation and all of that goodness. And we got a guest today, Christian Buckley. So, yeah.
Yeah, welcome everybody. And I know Wes had to run, so he had something come up, so he won't make it today. But just like Heather, I really enjoy getting to participate in this area because we really like helping all of our event organizers have all of the knowledge that they need to do the things that they do, and we appreciate all of you guys. So yeah, Emily, if you want to pop over to introductions, oh yeah, we need to read through all the disclaimers.
Well, do you want me to do that, Sharon? Or
yeah, why don't you do that stuff?
Yeah,
and then we'll get to good stuff.
All right, you bet. We're excited to have you all join. We definitely adhere to a digital event code of conduct here. As you know, Microsoft's mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And with our digital event code of conduct, we just ask you all to be great citizens, like appreciate the presenters, appreciate the people in the chat, and please just make sure you're giving everybody common courtesy as we move along. Sharon, I'll also talk about the mission of MGCI. How about that? So MGCI, we are all about event amplification, event production and training, blogs, networking, technology, best practices, resources, all of this goodness. And Sharon and Christian are here to share some of those best practices and dazzle us with our topic about social media today. We're super excited about that one. And then I'll hand it off to you after this, but welcome again, everyone. We'd love for you to be active in the chat. Please throw in your name, where you're from, whatever you're wearing for Halloween this year, what you're doing to celebrate. And we'd love to see more about you from a work perspective. What do you work on from an event perspective? And please add your LinkedIn also in the chat so we can all make sure that we're connected.
Yeah, so I dropped my LinkedIn in the chat. Feel free to connect with me. And also, I definitely encourage you guys to connect with each other if you haven't already. Another thing is if you guys have like events that you want to promote or information you want to share, feel free to drop that in the chat as well. Being that this is kind of a group of event producers and event organizers and event leaders, there's always something going on. And it's always crazy to me how many things are happening that people don't know about. So feel free to drop those in the chat and share those with each other. So my name is Sharon Weaver. I am the founder and CEO of Smarter Consulting. I'm also an RD, MVP, and MCT, which means I play in all kinds of fun spaces. I'm also a member of the MGCI board, so I help to make this experience a little bit better. For many, many years, I ran a SharePoint Saturday, and then we ran CollabCon. I've also done community days at sea. This year, for the first year in like 100 million years, I didn't even run an event, but it'll be back next year. I just took a break this year, so we'll run an event next year, and I'll get all that promoted out in the near future. And Wes, like I said, had to deal with something on his own, so he won't be here, but we are excited to have Christian.
Whoop, whoop, Christian. And then I'll just quickly introduce the Microsoft team that's here to support all of you. We've got Caruana, Heather, and Brian. I'm here to also help and support in the background. Couple quick things. You can catch the MGCI, Microsoft Global Community Initiative, on MTC, so make sure you check us out there. You can also check out the user groups on Microsoft Tech Community as well, so make sure you're just doing some surfing and getting involved. And with that, Sharon, Christian, back to you, and I will be quiet.
No, I'm really excited to have Christian here. So just wanted to introduce him. He'll tell you guys a little bit about himself and what he does and why he's here. But I really do think Christian is one of the best in the space on this. He knows kind of what's going on and how to get people to know about it. He's been doing this for a long time. So I am really excited to let him come in and share with us some of his tips and tricks around social media and marketing.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time because I'm old. So thank you for that. I know that's not what you meant, but that's what it felt like, Sharon. Just a little jab
Lots
there.
of experience, not about age.
I did drop my LinkedIn over in the chat. So if you'd like to take a look at that. And I was trying to think of this, like, so I'm not focusing as much on the social media, but more on the just overall promotion of the events. And I'll tell you why as I go through. I tried to keep it really simple and, like any marketing guy, it's like I wanted to focus in on 5 things. So 5 ways to promote your community events. And so hopefully you find this helpful. Here's one of the things. My background here, you can see there's links to stuff, all the stuff that's out there. I work with Sharon at Smarter. I also have had an independent consultancy for the last 15 years called Collab Talk, and do a number of different things, including, I point out, just published my first science fiction novel, which just became available last week. So if anybody's like really wants to nerd out and they read that, all I ask is that everybody tell 250 of their best friends, closest friends, to also go purchase. No, but I have been involved in the Microsoft event world since. I guess I officially attended my first SharePoint Saturday in 2009. So it was on Microsoft campus. And so I very much caught I left Microsoft, went to work for an ISV partner in the space, got back involved with SharePoint, went to this SharePoint Saturday campus. Going backwards a little more, like the first event that I organized was in, I think, 98, 99. And so I used to play in another community around, for those that remember, Rational Software. So I had a company, sold a company, did a bunch of events, spoke at conferences back in that world. They got bought by IBM. And then the community just kind of died after that. They bought a company for its community and then killed the community. But went on and did like a nonprofit, did other things. Largest event that I organized, we had about 2,000 people at that event. We had like Don Box come and speak at that event, and it was kind of a big deal for those that remember in the .NET world. But the thing is, it like SharePoint Saturday, getting back on that, 2009, the first one. I thought this is fantastic. And I started to go and speak at those events. And for those that remember 2009, 2010, the only Western US SharePoint Saturdays were that one in late 2009 on campus. And earlier in the year, there was something at the user group at Microsoft in San Francisco with like 50 people. That's it. Everything else, you had to fly back to the East Coast to go and participate, or overseas. In Europe, there was a bunch happening. And I thought this isn't right. And so having organized events, I helped launch SharePoint Saturdays in the West. I ran several of them. I helped find groups that took over and led those. And so some of you remember a lot of these, but I ran for 7 years the SharePoint Saturday Redmond on Microsoft campus. I helped with Portland. I helped run Bend, started Sacramento, started Silicon Valley, started Los Angeles, helped with Honolulu, helped with Phoenix, ran Salt Lake City. We did that for 12 years. Our last one was a year ago, I think. I don't know. Time doesn't mean as much anymore. So I think it was a year ago. And helped with Boise. And then, of course, dozens of others around the world. Some of my favorites I've been to in my Microsoft career since leaving Microsoft, traveled to about 50 countries. Now, with all that experience, why I'm telling you this, it really kind of boils down to on the promotion side of it. And I think, somebody said here, the intro, Sharon, I think mentioned this. It's incredible that you can do all of this promotion, all of this awareness raising, reach out, spam your list again and again and again and again, and that somebody will come to you a week later and say, "Oh, I never heard about it." And you're like, "Come on, Come on, man. Like what did you go dark on social for the last 3 months? Like it's like what can you do? Like, have I done everything? This watch, could I have sold this and told people about this? Did that feel appropriate? Oh, sorry, anyway, I'm just trying to be a
Totally
funny
accurate.
guy. But this idea, like, how do we get the word out about this? So that's what I tried to focus on here. How can we promote this? And so this is where I want to get into, like, the first thing here is I see the number one problem, and because you got a lot of smart people that they've been speaking they've been organizing, they run their user groups, like all of you, all of us, we're involved in all these different things. So we think we know how to do all of these things. And I'll tell you that this number one of clearly defining your value proposition is the number one failure. And it skews everything else that you go and do. And I'll get through some of the ideas. This isn't all inclusive of everything. It's not a checklist like you must do these things, but I want to talk about these things. It's if you don't have that elevator pitch, and if it's not a compelling story for it, and I'll say for somebody who is like the transition from SharePoint Saturday into the community days, and there's always a transition time to get the people that were aware of the SharePoint Saturday brand. What was the problem with the SharePoint Saturday brand? Anybody? Feel free to come off mic. What was the problem with the 5-6 years ago with the SharePoint Saturday brand? Anybody want to share their thoughts?
Well, it now doesn't incorporate other technologies and products. It's
Bingo.
Just SharePoint. So
the number one thing we heard in running the events that I was still involved in, so I was running, the ones that I was actively running the longest were SharePoint Saturday Utah and SharePoint Saturday Redmond. Number one feedback was, well, I don't really do SharePoint anymore, so I didn't realize that you're covering all these other topics. Like, that with the brand. It's like people in social media that early in the SharePoint era would go out and be like, I'm SharePoint Steve. Like, great. As long as you never change your role, your job, and focus on other technologies, now you've built up this following. It's the same with the brand. So if you can't clearly define a name like then people won't understand why do I go to this thing. So with something like community days, which is great days, there's community days, there's whatever you call the thing, the event, you still have to be able to communicate the value proposition, what it is, why people should be there, why sponsors should be there and participate. So you need to clarify the purpose. What are we doing? What are we trying to solve here? And it's not enough that just say, for people that are really well versed in the community and they know what it is, they get it and they'll be there. But how do you build new participants? You have to continually feed the community, bring new faces in, speakers, ideas. There's plenty of room for experimentation in what you do. So you can't just do the same thing again and again and again and expect it to grow. You have to be responsive to and recognize whether it's new topics, new technologies that are out there. Give the people what they want to a certain degree. There's nothing wrong with having a small event that's focused on like an area, but what is your ultimate goal? So just be clear on what that purpose is. And I should say, if anybody has something, raise your hand. I'm trying to watch the chat here, but if you got a question, just interrupt, jump in. I'm not offended by that. I'd rather have it more of a conversation. We're all organizers. We're doing a lot of these things. So yeah, one of the things that people like the comment here, like Saturday, what? Yeah, one of the things that we did in Utah. If you understand like the Utah culture, largely culture is that we moved it to Friday and our numbers jumped up more than 50%. So we had our largest attendance since pre-pandemic, certainly. But by moving to Friday, it was a huge shift because largely the LDS culture in Utah, like they don't do stuff on Sunday, and so Saturday's their only day to go get stuff done and family stuff. And so by moving it to Friday, we had dozens of people kind of tell us the same thing, like, hey, this is kind of a work-related training type thing. And so I was able to go and take the time off, convince them, and so we had more people show up. So we jumped from barely having 200 to over 300 people show up. So articulate 3-4 clear takeaways. Be clear on what people will gain from this. Hey, we have this thing called Copilot. It can help you shape what that is. Just don't, like anything with AI, is don't take the first response. Shape it, make sure that it's authentic, that it's really there. Then create that why attend statement. What am I going to get at? You're going to learn to do these things. You're going to walk away with these skills. In fact, I am of the philosophy that these events that we're doing, like a community days, need to be more skills training based, like that focus. That's how we sell it, rather than the community and networking. It's all true. You get that other stuff. But if people think, hey, I'm going to go there and I don't know how to create this automation, I don't know how to create an agent, hey, you're going to learn how to do that at this event for free. Fantastic. Or if it's a paid event, whatever you're doing there. But this is the value that you'll get out of the event. You then need to make sure everything is aligned. If you're going to rebrand it, rename this thing so that it focuses on a larger audience. I mean, now with Utah, we kind of changed it to like an everything Microsoft, because it was the collaboration stack. So SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, Engage, like all of that stuff. And then there was also the Power Platform side of things. And then we had some other Azure Fabric things as well. So we tried to sell it as a broader Microsoft technology event, community event. And I think, again, that helped bring in more people that came for a couple different topics and then poked their head in other rooms and went and sat through other sessions, because they were there for, a specific topic. So, but align the title, the description, make sure, like, I love the idea, if you're doing an event that's large enough where people can go down a track, like I only care about Power Platform and Copilot. Well, there's a whole track for that, or multiple tracks for that, or role-based tracks for that. Again, if you cater to a specific goal. I do the ranks through the project management side of the house. And so doing an event that, and I've done events back pre-Microsoft ecosystem, but it was catered towards project managers and business analysts. And so with that, we got this huge response from people that were in those professions to come out and participate and test out, try out other technology, where we shaped kind of a path, a learning path, a direction for them. So that's something that could be very specific. That was part of the purpose of the event, to say like, hey, this is dedicated to this learning path. Come if you're a developer, we've got something for you. If you're an IT pro, we've got something for you. If you're just a power user, end user, if you're a novice, 101, like we did, I know a number of the SharePoint Saturday events did this, where we offered like a half day. So the whole first half of the day, you had to register specifically for this, but was a 101 class. So we had a room that was full, it filled up, and so if people dropped out, we had a waiting list for it. An event inside the event, but for people that were brand new to the technology. That was an appeal to that audience, which is great. You also need to make sure that there's the sponsor value. You can't forget the sponsors, again, depending on the type of event that you're doing, but you have to think about what are they getting out of it? What value is going to convince them, not just the goodness of their hearts there is a way to do just the goodness of the hearts. We'd always offer, I think we were the first SharePoint Saturday. This is back in, I think like 2011, 2012, where we offered out like a $200 sponsorship where you'd get your logo on the website. That's it. So if you didn't, as a sponsor, you wanted to support the community, you wanted to donate money to, but you couldn't be there. You didn't have somebody speaking from the company. You couldn't send out, you're not going to have a booth. You can't afford to fly somebody out to all these events, but there's a way to help support that event and then get some recognition for it. So give a low cost way for companies to be able to throw some money in the hat and help the event happen. We used to have dozens of these, like $200, $300, just get the logo on the website, that helped fund. I mean, if you earn $2-3 grand, I mean, that pays for the food for the entire event. And then do a reality check. Go through and make sure that you've got your pitch, you've got your statement, you've got the value prop. Get some feedback from people outside of your echo chamber. Especially reach out to people within, MGCI, the board, the leaders, the regional leads, and get feedback. Say, here's what we're trying to do. Here's how we're trying to differentiate and show the value. What are we missing here? So I'm always happy to provide feedback. Don't overwhelm me, of course, but yeah, connect with me. If you're putting together the pitch for your event and just want another set of eyes, drop me a line. I'm happy to provide that kind of feedback. And remember, when you really need to have this plan in place before you start promoting and creating the various assets that are out there. Otherwise, you'll confuse people with mixed messages around that. It goes back to, I mean, if you've been an entrepreneur, if you've ever tried to start a company, it's having that pitch, having that elevator pitch ready to go for your event. If somebody, what is that? If somebody, you're standing in the elevator, you're holding a box of swag that's for your event that's happening that weekend, and somebody says, "Oh, what is this stuff? What are you doing?" What do you say? If you're not prepared with that 30-second response, then a lot of pop-ups that have popped up here, then you've not yet gone through this step. So define the value prop. Leveraging the people that you have within the network. Are you doing enough? And I would argue that very few of you are doing enough with the people that are part of the planning committee, that are part of your user group, that are part of your personal network to go and help get the word out about your event. Because a lot of people will show up based purely on the enthusiasm of the people within their network. That's the word of mouth is the strongest marketing for any of your events. Now, who are they? Past attendees, speakers, sponsors, volunteers, whether or not they're speaking, sponsoring, or volunteering this year. They may still help promote, even though they were involved last year and can't be there for some reason, can still help get the word out. Reaching out to local community, depending on where it is. Like in Utah, we were always at the community college. And so we would go employ the help of a bunch of the event team there at the community college. And we'd reach out to professors, we'd reach out to other administrators with the school to help get the word out. They actually promoted it over the loudspeaker at one point. I'm like, what is this, high school? But no, they did it. Like I'm 100% positive we didn't have a single person that came because they did a loudspeaker announcement. Like, who pays attention to that? But they did it. Create share packs. This idea of like, okay, it's not just asking somebody, hey, help get the word out. It's create for them pre-written post. Give them graphics, give them flyers, talk about and promote hashtags. The registration link should be critical, a QR code, have all of that. I love that word, make it frictionless to promote it. If you're not giving people that, the likelihood that it'll happen is relatively low. You give them something and inundate them with this. Give them options for the messages. Like I just did this for a campaign internally where I created a Word doc. It was like 6 or 7 pages and about 40 to 50 different potential social media posts that I curated through. I had AI generate them. I then went and cleaned it up and took the best of those and said, hey, if you don't know what to go and do to personalize this, copy and paste any one of these. use these tools. Here's these graphics. Here's the QR code. Here's the URLs, the registration link. Provide all of that, give it to those people. And so what I did is I went in. I love it when people hand me that stuff. I get asked all the time. I'm involved with ESPC in December, and I have scheduled I use Buffer to do social media and schedule promotions and things that are out there. I went and built all that stuff in with the graphics, with the info, the language that they provided, and I tweaked it, I personalized it, and pushed it out there. And for those that are helping amplify that aren't an organizer but are amplifying as part of that community, make sure that you do personalize it. The way all the algorithms, I'm sure everybody knows this, the way the algorithms work is that simply resharing it doesn't have quite the effect that quoting it and putting a comment in there, personalizing it has. It changes it. It makes it look like a net new, an additional piece of content, and it shows up better in the engagement metrics. So you always want to go above and beyond the cut and paste or the reshare of assets. Yeah, so you want it to be authentic. You want people to share here. Here's why I'm supporting this. Here's why I am organizing this event. And if you are an authentic advocate for your event, as you're talking with people and convincing them to get involved and get excited about the event, they'll be more authentic in their outreach. And then recognize and reward. So this is something where I need to get better at. We all need to get better at. But when people do step it up and share, like thanking people for that, calling out, mentioning people, we've all seen these responses. Some of you are, I'm sure, really good at doing that. Heather, I know you do that every once in a while, where there's a longer LinkedIn post, and taking the time to go through and link to mention a dozen people that help with that process. Those kinds of posts have higher engagement. It's much more meaningful. And look, I don't need to have all of this high praise for my involvement in there. My reward is my participation in a lot of it. But I am grateful when I see that out there, and it does, deep down, it does make me want to be more involved and do things in the community when I'm getting recognized for, hey, taking my personal time, my evenings, my weekends doing this. It's not part of my job. No one's being paid to do this community activity. And so if all we're doing is we're recognizing each other for that, I'll tell you what also goes a long way, just throwing this out there, but even if you're not the organizer, if you're not involved with an event, but you see and if you're impressed by the involvement of somebody that's doing that, recognize somebody like, hey, this is just a great job that this person is doing. I really admire that. Or just do it even one-on-one, reach out and say, hey, you're doing a really great job with that thing, whatever it is that they're out there promoting. It goes a long way to develop relationships by doing that. But also for people that are volunteering, that are speaking, as much as possible, it doesn't have to have a dollar value to those things. I know we all love helping with, thanks. Yeah, Russ, exactly. Unsolicited recognition. It's fantastic. But even if you are, a lot of these SharePoint Saturdays, there was never really the budget. There was back in the heyday, and we did some things to buy gifts for the speakers. I know that this last one in Utah, we gave out in the speaker gift bag. It's a thing in Utah, is fry sauce. So we gave out fry sauce and some other uniquely Utah things in these little gift bags. It wasn't a lot of money to go and do that. But just doing that recognition and repeatedly recognizing the speakers to come out. And I know for all of the community days, events, you're all doing that. We're all doing that. There's always room to do more to recognize those people for giving up their time to participate. It does go a long way. You need to do something similar for the sponsors. Have that co-branded content ready to go, sample posts, give them assets, give them ideas. Something that I used to, like one of the things that I would always do, is I would run the sponsorship site. So the last 15 years, events that I helped organize, while I might have been one of the lead organizers of that, I would take on the responsibility of raising funds, the sponsorship funds for the events. And I had a lot of those. I worked for ISVs for most of the last 15 years. I had a lot of the connections, a lot of friends in this space. I knew who to reach out to, so it was easy for me to go and do that. But it's also important to, just like you're going to give out to promote the materials, it's to have a sponsorship specific package. One thing that I don't understand why more of the events didn't do it was try to partner with those sponsors to say like, hey, you're spending this money, you're coming out and you're going to have a booth on Friday or Saturday for our event. If you came out a day earlier, like I've done this a couple times at the events where we actually went and got a deal to get space available at a discount rate if they wanted to come and set up like a pre-day and do a workshop or do trainings or do partner meetings or something else. So to facilitate something around that event. The other thing we did in Utah is that we would have share ski. So SharePoint Saturday, we'd ski on Friday, and that was paid 100% paid for by sponsors to lift tickets sometimes, always lunch up on the slopes, and so just thinking about other mini events or activities that you could do around to help make the event more valuable to those sponsors is really smart to get them coming back every year. And then after the event, you can't forget kind of two things. I don't have it in here, but doing a post-mortem on it as organizers. Hopefully you're doing that, learning like what worked, what could we have done more of, what could we have done earlier, but also continue to do the promotion out there. Weeks, if not a month or so after the event, continue to share assets, best practices. This is something hopefully speakers are doing as well, to keep things warm. And it goes a long way with kind of populating social media with your hashtag and more good vibes around the event, which can help with next year's promotion. And remember, you don't need to go after and target influencers, just enthusiasts with networks. Hey, how am I doing on time? I know I'm about to jump to number 3. Do I have like 10 minutes more? 15?
Yeah,
About
15
minutes.
All right. I'll go a little
10.
bit faster here.
Sorry, Sharon says.
Yep. So people engage with people. It's not about, you can't just rely on the emails, the posts that are out there. It needs to be a human activity. So feature faces, number 1, and what they're doing, not logos. So it's great to go out and recognize the sponsors. Announcing sponsors, if that's the primary promotion you're doing, is you're landing sponsors. Sorry for the sponsors, that's not going to drive butts and seats at your event. You need to focus on the people and the topics and that value prop. Again, if you got the value prop right at the beginning, and then what you're doing is you're basically focusing on the people that are driving and delivering on that value prop. So if you get people, again, encourage them to go and do that or do it on their behalf. Say, hey, like I just got there was a post this week of one of my 2 sessions at ESPC in Dublin in December. Like, I love that. I reshared it. I'm going out sharing more things. I'm blogging on my topic to try and get my topics, to get people interested in going to my sessions with links back to it. Whether it'll drive registrations or not, or it's really just catering towards the people that are already planning to be there, it helps raise awareness of that thing. But it's great if you do that as an organizer. It's even better to encourage the speakers, but tell them, give them a format. Say, hey, can you go do these 3 things? And this is what we'd like you to make it look like this. Share about your session, drive to the URL, talk about a subtopic that you're going to cover in that session, and then do kind of a broader registration push a week before the show to help people in your network to know that it's happening and deliver. behind the scenes content. So again, making sure you err on the side of over communication. Here's what's happening. Here's the time frame. Here's what's going on. Here's when we're going to be doing the speaker photo. Don't forget to, one, do a speaker photo. Two, to tell your speakers that you're doing a speaker photo. And then three, doing it when you said you were going to do it so that people could be there for that. Because it's a bummer to be, to put all that effort into a community event that you're not getting paid for, and there's a speaker photo that you weren't aware of and it was taken without you in it. So that always sucks. Photoshop is fine, but it's not the same thing. Having a countdown, having a teaser series. This goes into kind of the marketing planning, work backwards from the day, plan out and hit those dates and times. You know when you're going to do an email blast, you know we're going to do a social promotion, what each of those are. It's like having a marketing drip campaign. I don't know what the current thinking is of how many marketing touches. It's dozens now before somebody says, oh, hey, there's an event happening on Friday. Like it's like 24 marketing touches before, and that can be from people who are moderately aware of what's happening in the community. And so you just need to be consistent and persistent in your messaging, and having a mix of info, enthusiasm, personalizing those things. After the event, the highlight reels, testimonials, recaps, quote graphics. If people can share summaries of their slides, if slides are made available, if recordings are made available, here's what's out there, reshare that. The organizers, you should be reaching out to your speakers and whatever is shared to go in and productize that. And that's what you continue to send out for weeks after the event. That will help people remember that event next year when you do it again. So there's plenty of tools that are out there to help automate that. I mean, AI makes it so easy to do that. Always use captions. Alt text and images are essential. Mention people constantly, and that is going to increase your reach. In fact, if you're doing any promotions and you're not mentioning 2 or 3 people in each of those, you're kind of failing at that. You're going to be limited to who you're connected to directly right then and there, who then sees it in their feed. Nobody goes back to another individual's feed and scrolls through, oh, what has Christian been tweeting about for the last 3 days? Doesn't happen. I go log into whatever platform it is. I scroll through a little bit of what's in the feed there. So if you're just tweeting once a day, if you're Blue Sky, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, Facebook, doesn't matter. If you're not on there multiple times, hitting different time zones, getting different, activity periods during the day, people aren't going to see it. That's when you get the people like, I had no idea this event was going on. And you want to smack them, or lovingly shake them violently. Lovingly, violently. Okay, anyway. Having that smile, again, attaching it to actual people's faces. The promotion journey, I talked about the marketing side of this. It's not a single post. People, if you think that you've done it enough of the social promotion out there, you haven't. The fact that you think that, there's a lie in your heart, and you need to move. You need to get over that. No, is there too much? Who cares? Do it too much. You're promoting the event. You want people to be like, you're that guy that just keeps promoting that event that's happening in 2 weeks. Like, oh, what event is that? Oh, that Community Days Utah event. What are you doing? Like, you're crazy. It's like, yeah, but you remember that I'm the guy associated with that event. You're welcome. See, that's what you want to get into. Have a title, maybe not to that extent. Now, here next year, just so folks know in advance, I'm reaching out, talking to people this next week at TechCon in Dallas. I'm trying to put together the Community Day Dallas in 2026. So it's going to happen. I've got a location. We just have to figure out the date. So I'm going to be spamming everybody in the community around this, and also going to try and get the user group back off of life support and in person again. So map out a timeline. Have this, again, work backwards from the event. You know the date. Build out the schedule. What are we doing on each of these dates? Assign it. Who is doing the social media promotion? That's a trick question. Everybody. Everybody is doing the social media promotion. But here's when emails go out. Here's when the various comms. Here's each of the channels. Here's what everybody's going and doing. Where people fail is on execution of this plan. It's not like everybody has the intention, but if you fail in the execution, that's where people don't know what's going on with the event. Have multiple channels. Don't rely on any single channel. It used to be back in the day, you could go to 2 places, Twitter and LinkedIn. There's like a dozen places now. Maybe Facebook, depending on what the event is, what the pitch is for the event. But you've got all of these different channels, all the different things. It's more video content related. Do I need to create video content to promote my event? Yes, you do. I'm sorry, you do. It's become more difficult because it's so splintered across the social platforms, but you got to do it. It's part of the job that we signed up for. Automate as much as possible. Again, I use Buffer, Hootsuite for that. If you're doing internal, if you work for a bigger company, if you've got things like Amplify to build out marketing, figure out the marketing channels and the schedule for each one of those and what those comms look like. Reuse what makes sense in between those. There's, different social media channels. There's different, character limitations. They limit what you can put in there, how many people you can mention, kind of all those things. There's different graphic standards for how they show up in the best way on each of those platforms. So be aware of all of those differences and tailor your messages. The beautiful thing is you go into Copilot and say, here's the message. I want your help creating tailored social media messages for these 6 channels. Here are the ways that I'm going to promote this. Help me figure out, following character count and kind of character count, all the other things, create the messages, and it will go and create the variations. So love that. And then if you're doing enough social media promotion, you'll end up paying for a tool. I think I pay $15-20 a month for Buffer with the channels that I do. I probably promote to 8 or 9 channels right now. And Automate is great because I can do that. I can spend half a day, build it all out for the next 2 months, and then it's just automated. It just runs. You need to keep your eye on it. Sometimes they fail. There's just little quirks with integrations, but you can automate a lot of that. And then, of course, your tracking, registrations, the engagement. Where are we getting more interest from? If you create tracking URLs, you could do it for free. Just type into your search, tracking URL, create a free tracking URL. You can do that and add that in. You could then track per QR code, URL for each of those different channels, which is performing better. Then maybe go spend more time in that channel, do more, maybe even do some paid advertising if you're really trying to reach out to a new group. But track that, build that into your playbook, like what worked, what do we want to do more of next year? Over time, it's about the reputation. Again, if the worst thing happens is that people say, Christian, you've become a spammer around your new event in Dallas. I'm like, so sue me. Don't sue me. You know what I mean? Just listen to me now or hear me later. It's my terrible Arnold Schwarzenegger. Sorry. Number 5, you need to move outside of the people you already know. You just marketing your event to the community that signed up last time. It's not enough just to promote to the list that you have. You have to constantly add that. And ways of doing that. I just thought of something. I don't think I have it in here. No, it's not in here. So I'll start with this. Your number one promotion is your partners that are sponsoring, that are there. That's the best place to have as part of that, saying, look, I know you've purchased a booth, you're going to be there, and that you're looking for net new leads, but we need you to promote to your lists in this region as well. So please do that, and maybe even make that part of the sponsorship agreement. And you can kind of soft enforce on that, but say, hey, we're not looking for passive sponsors. We want sponsors that are going to be there, that are going to help us build this community. And again, go back to the $200, $300 sponsorship to get your logo on the website, and have those people, hey, please help us promote it. Have them on your short list of when you have new social media or email promotions that they're recirculating. So next, partner with education. Reach out to, I don't know how many people are doing this, reaching out to their local universities, community colleges, civics groups. Offer, like, say, free training. Say, hey, we're going to do a 101 class. We can do a pre-day. We can do a free online something before or after the event, specifically for students for your group, if you help us get the word out about this. We would go down to, in Utah, when I lived there, I would drive to 3 local universities. So BYU, Utah Valley, and then the community college, and put up flyers and meet with teachers in different areas, and go to the computer science, go to the technology hub areas. I go to the MBA programs and put flyers and other things to try and help drive people to the event. I know very quickly here, civic groups, reaching out to, depending on the scope, the size of the organization, innovation boards, chambers of commerce. Again, make them aware, get on their calendars that are helping promote that. Specifically non-tech audiences, people that should be aware of this stuff, that are never going to see any of your emails, your social posts, because they're not part of those groups. Go and collaborate with these groups. Get them on there as a free sponsorship. Have a booth there to help promote these civics organizations, and to get them to help promote it. Promote it as digital skills, as career growth. Again, the training, have that built into your value prop. Reach out to local media. There's stuff you can do for free. There's always going to be paid options, but stuff for free. If you've got local TV stations, like, again, sometimes they love to hear about these free events. If you've got a nonprofit tied to it, great. If you don't, you say, hey, this is a not-for-profit activity. It's paid for by sponsors. It's free to attend. Here's the info, and you might get some support, some help there. And of course, be inclusive there. If you're doing a hybrid event, I'm not a big fan of doing the online stuff anymore. I want people to be there mentally and physically. But to promote the fact, if you are in an accessible facility and other things around there, talk about parking, directions, be clear on your communications. All those things help you develop relationships with these other organizations, with the people that attend, and will, again, help you build year after year that you should see growth out of this. The bigger your tent, the stronger the community. The end. Thanks so much. I know that was a lot for 5 slides, but that's it. The opportunity is yours. Richard Harbridge, eat your heart out. See, that was a lot of content in 5 slides. I don't need 100 slides. All I needed was 5.
Awesome job, Christian. Thank you so much. Tons of great information. Lots of great chatter in the chat about that. Sharon, did you have anything else, or you want me to close it out? Mic drop, Christian.
There we go.
Want to say, there you go.
I left everybody speechless. Thank you.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you, Sharon and Wes behind the scenes, Heather as well. And thanks to our guest speaker, Christian Buckley. That was awesome. If any of you have events that are taking place, please feel free to request any amplification using this link. Would love to get your feedback on this meeting. That's always golden. Feedback is always great. We always want to make sure that we're giving you great content. And any feedback that you have on this training work stream overall would be awesome. So please take a moment and scan these 2 codes. And then general is, and the last one for the year, quite honestly, is November 18th, featuring Augustine and Sadie. And they will be talking about how we run our events and thriving against the odds, building formidable communities in unfavorable environments. So this will give us stuff to ponder on over the holidays and come back refreshed and amazing moving forward. Okay, we're 1 minute over. Sorry about that. Please, again, feel free to put anything else in the chat, and really appreciate you all attending today. Thanks, everyone.